great to have you here on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. In today's show, I want you to know crooks are working overtime to steal your money. And the schemes are proliferating. I want to talk about how careful you've got to be. Also, how are you going to future-proof your career? Right now, everything's about how AI is coming to chew up every job in the United States and worldwide. And we're all going to be, I don't know what we're going to be doing. Working for the AI? I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But I want to talk now about something that is absolutely ugly, and that is how criminals are tricking so many of us, no matter how sophisticated we are, into giving them information that allows them to help themselves to our money. And people in the financial business are Johnny-come-latelys to doing the proper things to protect your and my money. I think about how lame it is now that these financial companies are still using our voice as an identification pattern, when now with AI, it's really easy for anybody with our voice, any recording of our voice, to fool the voice pattern indicators that financial houses are using. And they're still using two-factor authentication with our cell phones. And I talked recently about why you need to lock your SIM with your cell phone provider. And if you didn't hear me talk about that, we've had a lot of people who contact customer no service at their cell phone providers. They're like, what are you talking about? Usually on the app with your cell phone provider, you can lock your SIM. I did it on mine. It took 30 seconds. And that way, even if somebody tries to steal my cell phone number, so they're getting those one-time use codes, they can't do it because you've locked down your SIM. Very simple precaution. But a lot of what criminals are doing right now is where they trick us to think that they are with our bank or brokerage house or retirement fund provider, and don't know if you've noticed in a very short period of time, I'd say over the last 2 months, a lot of banks and brokerages now, when they send you a one-time use code to your cell phone, are now also including a warning, pretty much of the lines, we will never ask you for this code, don't ever give it to a human, telling you that that criminals are trying to get that code from you, whatever they're saying, not in layman's terms, but what some lawyer wrote for them. Vanguard just put out a warning on how to outfox the scammers. And these warnings are coming in whenever you go into your Vanguard account, or they're coming, the short one, when you are getting a one-time use code. Understand that the big fight here, and this is why Zelle was just sued again, this time by the Attorney General of the state of New York, because people are losing perhaps billions of dollars now in Zelle scams. And the banks have made Zelle so vulnerable by having it embedded in your checking account. And so criminals are spoofing, pretending to be either communicating from your bank or an employee from your bank. And then the bank's like, well, they stole the money through Zelle, but it wasn't Zelle's fault. It was your fault because you believed that you were talking to somebody from the bank. So we're not covering that. And that's why you should shut Zelle off. Because when the chips are down, your bank does not have your back. They don't have it. And again, the banks have made Zelle so easy for criminals to use as a vessel to steal your money with no recourse for you as a consumer. No recourse. That's why you just flat out do not use Zelle. But know this, just as the new warnings say, if you get a two-factor code, never give it to another human. Never. That's a never rule. Never, never, not ever give that code to another human. And know that when you see on your caller ID, you're getting a call from your bank, your retirement account, your brokerage, something like that, do not trust that's actually who's calling you. I'm not trying to turn you into a cynic. I'm trying to make you careful during a time that the crooks are on their A game and the financial institutions we deal with are on their F game. They're not doing what they should do to protect us because all they do is say, well, it was your fault, so your money's gone that you worked a lifetime or a long time to save. They don't have our backs. So who's got our back? You do. You're the one who has to be your own police officer and protect yourself at a time that a Congress only listens to the bigs and never listens to you and me and has not put in protections for your hard-earned money, leaving us vulnerable to the crooks and the banks, the brokerages, the retirement accounts are like, yeah, not our problem. It's yours. And that's why you're the one who has to be ever cautious.
So the other day, I was talking to someone I did not know well at all, and they were insisting to me that Zelle is the safest and only payment system to use. And I was trying to nicely explain why that wasn't true. And they're like, no, it's the safest because it takes directly from your bank. There's no third party pulling from your bank. And I just finally, like, job hazard, I don't want to, like, I just walked away.
You just got to chill.
No,
But
chill.
Zelle could have been fine, but the banks set it up in a hurry just because they were terrified of non-bank actors like Venmo and Cash App. By the way, criminals can steal your money through Venmo and Cash App as well, and they do. But just understand the banks that inherently we are wired to trust let us down with Zelle and did not design it from the ground up as a safe method for money to transmit, period. And actually, the safest systems are ones where nobody actually has your account number, like is done in most every other developed country in the world, and even some developing countries have systems where money moves without access to someone's account number.
All right, should we go to questions?
Sure.
This one came in from Mike in New York. Mike says, "Hey Clark, I've had IRA accounts at Vanguard for 30 years, and I'm getting charged $25 per fund each year for the quote-unquote privilege of getting statements mailed to me. Is there any risk if I opt to do away with the mailed statements so I'm not charged? I think about scams that investors like Bernie Madoff and others experience with fake statements, and I'm wary of discontinuing the mailed statements. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but the mailed statements make me feel more comfortable, but I hate being nickeled and dimed."
So, Mike, basically, people are hitting us over the head with a baseball bat to not get paper statements anymore. I don't know if I mentioned, I think it's Denmark that's doing away with their postal service.
Really?
Yeah, that the amount of mail in a lot of countries that exists now is so small other than packages that a whole country's like, yeah, we don't even need a mail service anymore.
This makes me a little sad, just because I love a handwritten note.
And they'd had mail service for like nearly 500 years.
Wow.
And they're doing away with it. So this thing of forcing us into not getting paper statements It's happening with cable companies, phone companies, or mobile phones. That's kind of redundant to say phone companies, mobile. But you name who it might be, credit card statements, whatever. More and more, you pay a fee or they give you a discount if you don't get a paper statement. So this is how I'd handle it. You don't want to pay the $25 a year per fund. It's a lot cheaper for you to have a printer and every quarter print out your statements. And the statements I'm not worried about. The Bernie Madoff statements, most of them came in the mail. I mean, so getting something through the mail is not magic that it's going to be okay. I don't like not having paper statements, but we're pretty much being forced into behavior modification to go without paper statements. And that's why you now have the cost shifted to you with a printer, be much cheaper for you to print your own than to pay Vanguard $25.
And I would also just note that there's a lot of mail theft in the U.S. So if someone goes into your mailbox and grabs your statement, then they know how much money you have in this account.
Then
That's
you
not
become
good
a target
either.
for them to go after. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And
Well, we are really freaking people out
this
today.
job will make you so paranoid. Andie in Texas says, a few years ago, I inherited $100,000 in individual municipal bonds from my father that mature in the 2030s.
I want to tell you, I'm sorry you lost your dad when you got these, and what a nice thing to inherit.
Yes. I've been collecting a steady $4,000 a year tax-free at 4%. Is there any downside to owning individual munis if I hold them to maturity and do not sell? I feel like I'm missing some type of hidden cost. What's the catch? Was there an initial cost that I missed because they were inherited? Again, these are individual bonds, not an ETF.
So holding individual bonds to maturity is why a lot of investors buy individual bonds instead of ETFs or bond funds like I hold. And the reason is you know what you're going to earn. You don't have to worry about what the direction of interest rates are. And when the bonds mature next decade, you're just going to get the money. So, and you're earning a decent yield since it's tax-free yield, depending on your tax bracket. It would be helpful to you in your effective yield you're earning. So, no, there is no downside as long as interest rates stay in the general vicinity they are. If interest rates go up a whole lot, then you may be earning significantly below what the market would pay you on a tax-free municipal. Then that's the point at which you might consider selling them early, potentially. But otherwise, just hold them to maturity. By the way, if you do end up selling them for maturity and interest rates have moved up a lot, you have to sell them at a discount. So, I mean, it's really, at this point, thinking it through, in most circumstances, it would make sense just to hold those to maturity.
Jay in Florida says there was a discussion about FSA and HSA coexistence. And by the way, Clark, so many emails and Clark stinks about this, just to clarify. The dental and vision only FSA that Krista mentioned that can coexist with an HSA is called a Limited Purpose FSA, LPFSA. The employer needs to offer that as an option alongside the HSA. Unless that has changed since I last had employer insurance about 5 years ago by my choice to go part-time and then retire in my late 50s, in part thanks to your advice.
So what was it that we got so many Clark stinks about?
Just that you didn't know. You said I've never heard of having an FSA if they're like that being offered with an HSA.
So the point of this is exactly why we do Clark stinks, to expand my pool of knowledge, to correct errors I make. And so the limited purpose flexible spending account is not a common thing, but if you have an HSA and you can benefit from a limited purpose FSA, then it's so wonderful that I can stand corrected and tell you that this is a perfect opportunity for you to get additional pre-tax money back in your pocket.
Yep.
So thank you to everyone who contacted us about me having a missing piece of knowledge up here.
Which is shocking because you have so much knowledge up there.
I'm just a guy. I'm a human being.
Okay.
So anyway, Coming up ahead, we're going to talk about how if I had an AI chip plugged into my brain.
Oh, please, no. No. Stop.
No, we're going to talk about all the fears about AI and what's misplaced and what's not about those fears and your career. So AI was all anybody was talking about 6 months ago, and stock market got overhyped with AI, and there were all these news reports about how AI was going to shred everybody's career, blah, 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 blah. Now, AI is still going to be a big factor in our lives, but some of that hype is cooled down. And it is true, there are people that AI in the short term is going to eat up their jobs. And it's brutal if you're somebody that happens to. Every new development with science and technology leads to changes in the job market, but it does not eliminate the need for workers and work. The nature of that work just changes. And there's no questioning at all that there are people who will lose their jobs because of AI. It will disrupt workforces, but other things will be created. And that's why, if you've been a long-time listener or viewer, you've heard me or watched me talk over and over again about how important it is not to be a racehorse with blinders, that all you see is what's in front of you, narrow vision. As humans, we tend to put on our own blinders, and we see things as they are today, not where they might be in the future. Because if we think about the future, I don't know what it is about us as humans, we think about the negatives that the unknown could cause. That when we think about the range of possibilities, we think about what could go wrong, not what could go right, with things that are new to us. It's just part of the human experience for most of us. I want you to think of it a different way. My obsession through my life with being a lifelong learner. I'm naturally curious. My favorite book as a kid was Curious George. That's the way I am. I'm always looking at what's new, what's possible. And there are times I get overly optimistic about something new. It's just the way I'm wired. But I want you to think about this concept of life learning doesn't end in your late teens or early to mid-20s. Learning should be something that goes on your whole life. Having multiple skills, part of being able to deal with constant change. Because that is something about the human experience throughout history. I mean, there were time periods that people were subsistence and things didn't change a lot. But through so much of human history, change was always there. And right now, because of all the methods of communication we have, change hits us in the face much quicker. And so this is something that you can't just outlast. I know people in some old media fields who were just trying to get to retirement or get through enough years that they wouldn't have to worry about what came next. But the real creators are the ones who said, hey, you know what, things are changing. There's now it's called new media, all the new ways people communicate. And I want you to think about that in your own life. What are the things that are changing around you and what you do? And what else is out there that interests you? Doesn't mean starting a whole new career. It means amping up your skills in what you do. I think I told the story recently about my son who is learning 2 skills, learning to be a commercial airline pilot and getting a degree out of the business school because he doesn't know how long there will be a career as a pilot. He's 20 years old. He figures between now and age 65, we'll be flying around and who knows what, and it won't need a pilot. And so he's got to know something else. And so maybe it's him wired the way he is, or by osmosis growing up around his parents who are always looking at where things are going, but he gets it. And that's something that we all have to think about. What's our next opportunity? Where's our skill set most useful at this point in our career if what I do right now isn't going to exist anymore potentially because of AI? What do I do next? When are you replacing me with AI?
Stop. It's not happening.
You're not going to replace me with AI?
Never. Never. That's the thing. You need that human element that would be missing. Although AI is ridiculous. It is really insane. Someone on our team, literally, I ask him any question and he gives me an AI response. Like as a joke at this point. Like he'll just like have AI compose a response from him and I can tell it's AI. And I'm like, you know, your wife must be a little worried about your relationship with AI, this AI bot. It's insane.
Do you know about all this with people developing these deep relationships with their AI bots?
I do.
I think that's very isolating.
I know. Okay. Mary in North Carolina says, Clark, I'm in the process of planning my 2026 travel. Yay. It seems that since the COVID era, many places both in the U.S. and abroad that were once safe places to travel are no longer. Yet I still see places that I wouldn't consider safe on a cruise or tour itinerary. What are the best resources to find out the most up-to-date information?
So, Mary, I don't think you were talking about illness.
No, I think it's safety.
Safety, like crime. So,
isn't that the State Department? Don't they?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that. The State Department puts out briefings on what the crime possibilities are in various places in the world. And take those with a certain grain of salt, because I read those when I'm going to a place I've not been to in a while. And I'll tell you, I've been to some places that are not safe by historical measures in terms of street crime, that kind of thing. And it's all about being really smart about what you do. When you travel, how you travel once you're there. Are you part of an organized group? Or are you wandering off on your own? I am very rarely going to eliminate a place as a place I would go because of crime.
I've known you 27 years and maybe seen you do that 2 times, I think. Like a sale was so good, but you were like, I need to live.
I mean, generally, I don't go somewhere if there's an active war going on.
Sure.
I mean, that's generally when I've not gone somewhere.
When's a deal not a deal?
Right. So, Mary, I'm probably the wrong one to ask because I don't think I'm too stupid, but I do think that I take maybe more risks with my travel than a usual traveler would take. But I'll say, again, when I go somewhere that I have reason to worry about street crime, I am much, much more careful about what I do and how I do it. And I'd say that's more important than worrying about a particular place having a big X on it as a place you're not going to visit.
Don't you think like a cruise ship, for example, like if they're going into a port and you're using, I know you don't love it, but the cruise ship's own excursions, you're probably
or third-party excursions at the that compete with the cruise line. And the odds that something's going to go wrong in that case is more often going to be an injury on whatever excursion, not crime targeting anybody on the organized excursion. The only places that specifically terrorists have targeted tourists, and it's been very rare, but it's happened where people on a tour from a cruise ship or something like that, has been in Egypt. People on tours of the pyramids have occasionally been targeted, but even that has been rare.
You might get water gunned in like Barcelona too.
Oh, you will get water gunned in Barcelona. But if it's a hot day, it's not bad to get water gunned.
Frank in North Carolina says, can you talk about the new 2026 catch-up rule for 401ks that high-income earners have to put catch-up money in a Roth 401k with after-tax income? I'm 50. Should I do it or not? It just seems that starting at zero at 50 with the addition of 10K-ish in contributions isn't as good as investing that somewhere else. My income is $200,000 a year. I have $300K in my 401k and about $150K in a high-interest checking account.
So, Frank, it's fantastic you've got that amount of money saved, but it's not enough for you to live the lifestyle you've come accustomed to, making $200,000 a year. So yes, you do want to do the catch up, and yes, it's actually an advantage to you that you're being forced to do it in Roth money. And at $200K, you don't say if you're single or married. If you're married, definitely you want to do the non-catch up money into the Roth version of the 401k, because tax rates are historically unusually low right now. We're running these big budget deficits, have the huge overall debt of the United States, and those things are like time bombs that are going to lead to higher tax rates in the future. So there's direct advantage to you being forced to put your money in the Roth version. And remember this, you're putting in after-tax money that is never taxed again. You open a regular, let's say, investment account, you're using after-tax dollars that will be taxed at more favorable capital gains rates, but they'll be taxed at the end. So the Roth is crazy beneficial to you, and you need to boost your savings for retirement. So absolutely take advantage of catch-up and put it in that after-tax like they're forcing you to do, because it's actually like somebody saying, eat your spinach. It's good for you. This is good for you.
Val in Georgia says, what happened to Clark's digital health devices detox? A few weeks ago, Clark acknowledged that he had a bit of a health monitoring addiction with his Aura and other devices. He took them off and was going to do a weekend without them. Was there an update? Did Clark go through with it? What did he learn?
I did go through with it. That was a long 48 hours for an addict. But you mean take them off now and leave them off for the rest of the podcast? I did do it. I did learn that I am data obsessed. I didn't break any of my data addiction. But I did live without my 3 devices for 48 very, very, very long hours.
I mean, did you even feel like your steps counted?
The steps didn't count.
Oh.
I mean, it was like, it just was not even there. I forgot my Garmin in a charger before I went on a 2-week trip early this year. And so I look at my Garmin history, and it shows in January like I didn't walk any steps. And it just stares at me every time I look at my annual recap. So I don't have a problem. Actually, no. I do. I have a huge problem about addiction to health devices. The detox didn't work, just made me feel bad. So maybe I'd need to just get rid of them for a much longer period of time.
I don't know. It depends. It's not the worst addiction, that's for sure.
Well, it's just important for me with the pre-existing health conditions I have to be as mindful as I can of what I eat, how much I sleep, and that I'm continually exercising. And Now I'm doing a PT program as well because I have tremendous lower body strength and not nearly sufficient upper body strength. And so I'm doing PT specifically to increase upper body strength.
Nice.
And
You going to become a gym bro?
no, I travel too much. So I'm doing a program that is offered through my health insurance where I have a human who I can consult with, but I have a video exercise program geared to me for upper body strength and flexibility. And I also do yoga.
That's awesome.
And it's really weird. You're not supposed to be competitive in yoga.
No.
But every yoga class I'm in, I'm the worst at it.
It doesn't matter. It's a practice.
I know. But I've got these perfection syndrome issues.
Yep.
And so
We've all got something.
we all have something, addiction to devices. I also did that thing a few years ago that I promised I would do, where it tracks if I'm using my cell phone too much. And I get a report card every week telling me if I'm using my device basically more than I should. And I got a really good report for the last week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's another addiction, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, who doesn't have that these days?
Oh, man. All right. Well, I hope something you're addicted to is becoming financially independent and doing the things you need to do so that you are in control of your wallet and you're not going to let anybody try to scam you out of that money that you've worked so hard to save. And if you've learned nothing else today, remember, big, bad Zelle. Don't use it. It's pretty clear, right? And also that what you're about is saving more, spending less, and don't ever, ever, not ever let somebody rip you off. Have a great day.